Amid chaos in the Lok Sabha, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal says the India-US trade deal fully safeguards India's agriculture and dairy sectors. This comes a day after Rahul Gandhi had accused Prime Minister Modi of selling out the country and farmers' interests and signing the deal under US pressure. A day after India and the US announced the long-awaited trade deal, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar meets top Trump aides in Washington. Talks with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent focus on the Quad, critical minerals and defense cooperation as the two sides look to reset ties. High drama in the Supreme Court as Mamata Banerjee launches another fierce attack on the Election Commission over revision of voter rolls in poll-bound West Bengal. Arguing her own case, Banerjee accuses the poll panel of selectively targeting and bulldozing Bengal, tells the bench justice is crying behind closed doors. It's a tragedy that has shocked India. Three sisters, just 12, 14 and 16 years old, jump off their 9th floor home in Ghaziabad near Delhi. They leave behind a chilling note saying, "Sorry, Papa." The police say the triple suicide may be linked to the girls' obsession with an online Korean game. More drama in Parliament. Rahul Gandhi calls BJP Minister Ravneet Singh Bittu a traitor friend. Bittu, a former Congress leader, retorts calling Gandhi Desh ka dushman or enemy of the nation. The spat leads to protests by Sikh groups outside Rahul Gandhi's residence. President's rule revoked in Manipur a year after it came into force ahead of the new state government swearing-in ceremony. MLAs from the BJP-led NDA formally joined the team led by Chief Minister Yumnam Khemchand Singh. Two Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists gunned down in a joint operation by the Army, the Jammu and Kashmir Police and the CRPF in Udhampur's Basantgarh. Acting on intelligence inputs, the forces sealed the escape routes, triggering a deadly firefight in a forest terrain. And late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi's son assassinated in a late-night attack. Gunmen stormed the residence of Saif al-Islam Gaddafi and shoot him dead. Once an heir to Gaddafi, his killing revives fears of fresh chaos in a country still scarred by past violence. Hello and welcome to the Times of India. You're watching Headlines at 8 with me, Neha Khanna. Our top story on the show tonight. A day after US President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced the long-awaited India-US trade deal, Union Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal made a statement in Parliament, with many pointing out that there were several unanswered questions pertaining to the deal, including on the primary sticking points that delayed the deal. Goyal today said that India had successfully safeguarded the sensitive sectors, particularly agriculture and dairy. The minister told the Lok Sabha, since Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the United States in February 2025, India and the US have been regularly engaged in discussions with the objective of concluding a balanced and mutually beneficial bilateral trade agreement. The opposition, led by Rahul Gandhi, has questioned the lack of clarity in the trade agreement that was previously held up over Washington demanding access to price-sensitive agriculture and dairy markets in India. Goyal has said the government has ensured that the agriculture and dairy sector's interests have been protected and that the new deal would also open new markets in labour-intensive sectors like textiles, jewellery and engineering. The minister added that the India-US trade deal will help promote initiatives like Make in India and Design in India and provide opportunities for MSMEs. He also pointed out that the new tariff, dropped from 50% to 18%, is lower than that imposed on other countries exporting to the United States, particularly those operating in key sectors like textiles. He cited examples of neighbouring nations like Vietnam and Bangladesh, saying the former faces a reciprocal tariff of 20% and the latter 19%. The opposition has mounted fierce protests since the deal was announced, with Congress MP Rahul Gandhi accusing Prime Minister Modi of having sold out Indian farmers' interests. In scathing remarks, the leader of the opposition had said, and I quote, "Modi ji is rattled. The India-US trade deal stalled for the past few months was signed last night, but there is extreme pressure on him. Our Prime Minister is compromised. The public needs to think about this. Modi ji sold your hard work, sold the country. He is scared. That's what Rahul Gandhi said. While the government insists that agriculture and dairy have been safeguarded, details of the trade deal with the US still remain sketchy. Among other things, there is still no clarity on whether India has indeed agreed to stop buying Russian oil as claimed by Trump. Be that as it may, the deal has been hailed by most India and US watchers as a positive development, one that is expected to give a fillip to Indian exports and the country's overall economy. It's also being seen as a reset in India-US ties that had been under enormous strain for the last several months on account of Trump's steep 50% tariffs imposed on New Delhi.
प्रदान करता है। मैं इस सम्मानित सदन के समक्ष यह दोहराना चाहता हूं कि खाद्य और कृषि क्षेत्र में भारत की प्रमुख संवेदनशीलता का पूर्णतः ध्यान रखा गया है। साथ ही यह साझेदारी लघु और मध्यम उद्यमी MSMEs उद्यमियों, कुशल श्रमिकों और उद्योग के लिए नए अवसर खोलेगी। उन्नत प्रौद्योगिकियों तक पहुंच का सुगम बनाएगी और भारत के मेक इन इंडिया फॉर द वर्ल्ड, डिजाइन इन इंडिया फॉर द वर्ल्ड और इनोवेट इन इंडिया फॉर द वर्ल्ड के दृष्टिकोण को साकार करने में सहायक होगी। दोनों देशों के बीच भावी व्यापार अवसरों के संदर्भ में माननीय सदस्यगण इस बात को समझेंगे कि भारत और अमेरिका काफी हद तक एक दूसरे की पूरक अर्थव्यवस्थाएं हैं। जैसे जैसे भारत विकसित भारत के पथ पर अग्रसर हो रहा है, हमें ऊर्जा, विमानन, डेटा केंद्र, परमाणु ऊर्जा आदि सहित कई क्षेत्रों में अपनी क्षमताओं को बढ़ाने की आवश्यकता होगी। अमेरिका इन क्षेत्रों में दुनिया का अग्रणी देश है, इसलिए हमारे लिए इन क्षेत्रों में व्यापार की संभावनाओं पर ध्यान केंद्रित करना स्वाभाविक है, जिससे न केवल हमारी खरीद में बल्कि हमारे अपने निर्यात में भी विस्तार होगा। हमारा अनुमान है कि तुलनात्मक लाभ के परिणाम स्वरूप कई क्षेत्रों में भारत का निर्यात अमेरिका में भी काफी बढ़ेगा। 2 फरवरी 2026 को प्रधानमंत्री जी और अमेरिकी राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने द्विपक्षीय और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय महत्व के कई मुद्दों पर फोन पर चर्चा की। इसके बाद राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने अमेरिका को किए जाने वाले भारतीय निर्यात की दर घटाकर 18% करने की घोषणा की। मैं इस बात पर जोर देना चाहता हूं कि यह अमेरिका द्वारा कई प्रतिस्पर्धी देशों पर लगाए गए टैरिफ से कम है, जिससे अमेरिकी बाजार में भारत की निर्यात प्रतिस्पर्धात्मकता में वृद्धि होगी। यह समझौता भारतीय निर्यातकों को विशेष रूप से श्रम प्रधान क्षेत्रों और विनिर्माण में महत्वपूर्ण तुलनात्मक लाभ भी प्रदान करता है। मैं माननीय सदस्यों को सूचित करना चाहता हूं कि आगे की कार्रवाई के संदर्भ में दोनों पक्ष व्यापार समझौते से संबंधित आवश्यक तकनीकी प्रक्रियाओं को पूरा करने और कागजी कार्रवाई को अंतिम रूप देने के लिए मिलकर काम करेंगे, ताकि इसकी पूरी क्षमता का शीघ्रता से लाभ उठाया जा सके। समझौते की विस्तृत रूपरेखा इन प्रक्रियाओं के समापन के पश्चात तुरंत घोषित की जाएगी। माननीय सदस्यों को भारत के ऊर्जा स्रोतों से संबंधित उन मुद्दों की जानकारी होगी जो इस समझौते पर हुई चर्चाओं के दौरान उठाए गए हैं। मैं स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं, जैसा कि सरकार ने कई बार सार्वजनिक रूप से कहा है कि 140 करोड़ भारतीयों की ऊर्जा आवश्यकताओं की सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करना सरकार की सर्वोत्तम प्राथमिकता है। वस्तुनिष्ठ बाजार स्थितियों और बदलते अंतर्राष्ट्रीय परिदृश्यों के अनुरूप ऊर्जा स्रोतों में विविधता लाना हमारी इस कार्यनीति का मूल आधार है। भारत की सभी कार्रवाइयां इसी बात को ध्यान में रखकर की जाती हैं। अतः मैं माननीय सदस्यों से इन मुद्दों को समुचित दृष्टिकोण से देखने का आग्रह करता हूं।
Soon after India and the United States announced their much-anticipated trade deal, bilateral relations hit fast forward as External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar has met with top Trump administration officials in Washington. Jaishankar held talks with U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent as the two sides look to deepen their economic partnership and strategic cooperation. The foreign minister also met U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio ahead of the inaugural Critical Minerals Ministerial, a global gathering of over 50 nations. Chaired by Rubio and opened by U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, the meet aims to secure resilient critical mineral supply chains, vital for technology, energy transition and national security. In his meetings with Trump aides, Jaishankar welcomed Washington's move to slash tariffs on Indian goods from the current 50% to 18%. He said the trade deal would boost jobs, spur growth, strengthen Make in India and unlock massive opportunities across technology, energy and manufacturing. Jaishankar and Rubio also reaffirmed their commitment to the Quad, the Indo-Pacific and deeper cooperation on defense, nuclear energy, trade and critical minerals. After months of strain owing to Trump's steep tariffs and several offensive remarks made about India by his cabinet members, India-US relations finally seem to be getting back on track and possibly entering a new phase.
India and the United States are moving their partnership into a new phase. From nuclear cooperation to critical minerals, the conversation between External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio signals that the relationship is expanding far beyond trade. The meeting comes at a crucial time, just days after the announcement of a major India-US trade deal that has already triggered political debate and global attention. But behind the headlines, the strategic conversation appears much deeper and far more consequential. During his visit to Washington, Jaishankar held wide-ranging talks with Rubio, covering trade, defense, energy, nuclear cooperation, technology, and most importantly, critical minerals. These minerals are not ordinary resources. They are the backbone of modern economies. From electric vehicles to semiconductors to defense technology and renewable energy, critical minerals determine who controls the future of industrial and strategic power. By pushing for cooperation in exploration, mining and processing, India is trying to secure its supply chains and reduce dependence on China, which currently dominates the global critical minerals market. According to Jaishankar, both sides agreed to speed up meetings of various bilateral mechanisms to convert strategic intent into practical outcomes. This signals urgency. India is not just looking for trade access, it is looking for technological depth and long-term resource security. For Washington, partnering India serves a similar purpose. The United States wants reliable democratic partners in supply chains that currently run through geopolitical rivals. The timing of this meeting is equally significant. The United States has already welcomed the India-US trade deal announced after discussions between President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. US officials described the agreement as an opportunity to unlock economic growth and strengthen shared energy security goals. Washington believes that stronger economic integration with India can reshape supply chains and strengthen Indo-Pacific stability. However, several unanswered questions remain. The trade deal announced earlier includes tariff reductions and expectations of deeper economic integration, but the fine details are still unclear. Reports from Washington have suggested conditions related to India's energy imports, including reducing purchases of Russian oil. There is no official confirmation yet on whether this issue was raised during Jaishankar's discussions with Rubio. If true, such conditions could have serious implications for India's energy security and foreign policy independence. Another important dimension discussed was the Quad. Both leaders reaffirmed commitment to expanding cooperation through the grouping that includes India, the US, Japan, and Australia. The Quad is increasingly seen as a strategic platform to balance China's influence in the Indo-Pacific region. By linking economic cooperation with security dialogue, India and the US are clearly trying to build a partnership that operates across multiple fronts simultaneously. Jaishankar's visit also includes participation in the Critical Minerals Ministerial, where global leaders are expected to discuss resource security and technology cooperation. This highlights India's attempt to position itself not just as a market, but as a manufacturing and technological hub in future global supply chains. The larger message from the meeting is clear. The India-US partnership is no longer limited to diplomacy or defense exercises. It is now entering the domain of economic strategy, energy security, and technological competition. Both countries see each other as essential partners in a rapidly changing global order. For India, the challenge will be balancing opportunity with strategic autonomy. For the United States, the challenge will be building trust while managing its own geopolitical priorities. The Jaishankar-Rubio meeting shows that both sides are willing to move forward, but how far this partnership goes will depend on the fine print of agreements that are still being negotiated behind closed doors. In global geopolitics, alliances are rarely built overnight. They are shaped through negotiations, compromises, and shared interests. And the India-US conversation, stretching from nuclear cooperation to critical minerals, suggests that a long-term strategic alignment is quietly taking shape.
West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, who is on the warpath with the Election Commission once again, trained her guns on the poll panel today as she entered the chamber of the Chief Justice of India. Instead of letting her lawyer present the case, Banerjee herself argued before the court, which was hearing her petition challenging the ongoing special intensive revision of voter rolls in her state. The Chief Minister told Chief Justice Surya Kant, "Justice is crying behind closed doors." She opened her arguments with accusations that the Election Commission ignored her requests. Mamata said, "The problem is, in the end, we don't get justice anywhere. I have written 6 times to the Election Commission but still did not get any reply." The bench acknowledged that Banerjee's plea is genuine and assured her that every issue has a solution. The court subsequently issued a notice to the Election Commission and asked it to be careful while sending out SIR notices. The court told the poll panel, "Tell your officers to be a little sensible." Banerjee had argued that SIR notices had been sent to prominent people including Nobel laureate Amartya Sen, acclaimed Bengali poet Joy Goswami and Trinamool MP Deepak Adhikari. She also stated that her government does not want people to be excluded from the voter list merely due to language issues and spelling mismatches. Citing an example, she claimed that a woman's name was deleted from the voter rolls because she used her in-laws' surname. Mamata argued when a woman changes her residence after marriage, the Election Commission puts her in the logical discrepancy list. Banerjee also said that the poll panel is violating the court's order by not accepting voters' Aadhaar cards. She alleged that West Bengal is being selectively targeted on the eve of the assembly elections. She argued, in states, domicile certificate is allowed, caste certificate is allowed. They only targeted Bengal on the eve of the elections. 4 states are going to polls. Then why, after 24 years, what was the hurry to do this in 3 months? The Chief Minister also raised the deaths of booth-level officers being linked to the SIR exercise. She said when harvesting season is there, when people are travelling, more than 100 people have died, BLOs have died, so many hospitalized, why not Assam? Banerjee alleged that Bengal is being bulldozed. She then appealed before the bench with folded hands, saying, "Please protect the people's rights, sir." The court has reserved its judgment in the case. It's a tragedy that has shocked the country. In Ghaziabad near Delhi, 3 minor sisters, all of 12, 14 and 16 years of age, jumped to their deaths from a 9th floor apartment in the dead of the night, leaving behind a haunting suicide note that read, "Sorry, Papa." Their screams jolted the entire neighborhood awake, but by the time the balcony door was forced open, it was too late. The police say the young girls were deeply influenced by an online Korean task-based game, as well as Korean culture, an obsession they say that had consumed their lives since the COVID-19 lockdown. The girls had stopped attending school and taken on Korean names. Before killing themselves, they left behind an 8-page diary detailing their mobile and gaming activity, along with heart-wrenching messages scribbled on the walls of the house, referring to their deep loneliness and heartbreak. As the stunned parents mourn and neighbors struggle to process the loss, investigators are piecing together the final hours of the young girls and the contents of their diary. Authorities say no specific game has been identified yet, but the case has triggered fresh alarm over online addiction and the silent dangers playing out behind closed doors.
The silence of early morning in Ghaziabad was shattered by a tragedy that has left an entire country shaken. 3 minor sisters, aged just 16, 14 and 12, jumped to death from the 9th floor of their residential building in Bharat City Society.
मैंने सामने से तीनों को जंप होते हुए देखा है। मुझे कुछ इससे पहले कुछ मुझे समझ में आता कि मैं बुलाऊं, आवाज़ दूं, ये सारा इंसिडेंट हो गया। मुझे कुछ एबनॉर्मल सा दिखा था कि मतलब वो जो गिलास है, बालकनी है, उसके ऊपर बैठे हुए थे। वो बार बार बैक साइड से गिरने की कोशिश कर रहे थे और दूसरा उसे पकड़ने की कोशिश कर रहा था। ये लगभग 2 बजे का बात है और मेरी नज़र इसीलिए गई क्योंकि 2 बजे अगर लाइट किसी का ऑन हो तो थोड़ा सा और मुझे वो लगता है, और बालकनी के ऊपर अगर कोई चढ़ के बैठा हुआ हो तो ऑटोमेटिक डाउट तो फील वैसे ही हो जाता है। फिर आपने उनको रोका, आवाज मारी? इससे पहले कि समझ में आता ना, ऑलरेडी जंप कर दिए थे। तीनों की प्लानिंग थी? प्लानिंग एक की थी। मुझे तो यही दिखाई दे रहा था कि प्लानिंग एक की है और बाकी जो है उसे बचाने में गिरा है। तो फिर आपने जब आपने देखा? मैं जस्ट आया नीचे, मैंने पुलिस को कॉल किया, एम्बुलेंस को बुलाया, मैंने सारे को तुरंत जस्ट इन्फॉर्म किया।
Their final words were written in a heartbreaking note. Sorry, Papa. The incident happened around 2 in the morning. Police say the sisters allegedly climbed onto a chair near an open window and jumped one after another. By the time residents and security reached them, it was already too late. Doctors at a nearby hospital declared all 3 dead. The sisters have been identified as Nishika, Prachi and Pakhi. Investigators say the family had been living quietly in the housing society under Tilla Mode police station limits. What has stunned authorities is the background of the children. According to preliminary findings, the sisters had not attended school since the COVID pandemic. The eldest, despite being 16 years old, was reportedly still studying at a primary level. This detail is raising serious questions about prolonged educational disruption and emotional isolation among children after the pandemic. Inside the room, police recovered a diary and handwritten notes. The words suggest a disturbing mental state. The note urged their father to read everything written in the diary because it was all true. The emotional tone of the message is now being examined by investigators and psychologists. Police are also looking into another possible factor. Sources indicate that the sisters may have been addicted to a Korean task-based gaming app. Officers are analyzing whether this digital exposure influenced their mental health or behavior. The room from where the sisters jumped had a small temple and the window was reportedly left open. The detail has added a chilling dimension to the case. Residents of the society described the family as reserved and rarely interacting with neighbors. The incident has created panic and deep grief in the residential complex. Forensic teams have collected materials from the house and the bodies have been sent for post-mortem to confirm the exact cause of death. This tragedy highlights a larger crisis that India is slowly confronting. Experts warn that excessive digital gaming, social isolation, and lack of psychological support can create dangerous behavioral patterns among children. The pandemic years forced millions of students away from schools and peer interaction. For some families, the consequences are still unfolding. authorities have not confirmed the exact role of the gaming app yet, but the investigation is now focusing on digital footprints, online communication patterns, and the psychological environment inside the home. Police say they are treating the case with extreme sensitivity while trying to understand what drove three young sisters to take such a devastating step.
देखिए आज 4 फरवरी के अर्ली मॉर्निंग में अर्ली आवर्स में करीब 2 बजे पीआरवी के माध्यम से सूचना प्राप्त हुई, जिसमें 3 लड़कियों ने ऊपर से कूदने की सूचना प्राप्त हुई थी। यहाँ मौके पे आके देखा तो तीनों बच्चियों को अस्पताल शिफ्ट कराया गया, जहाँ उनको ब्रॉड डेड डिक्लेयर कर दिया गया था। अभी तक की जो जांच हुई है, इसमें ये सामने आया है कि ये जो तीनों लड़कियां हैं, इन्होंने सुसाइड किया हुआ है और जो हमें इससे संबंध में एक सुसाइड नोट भी प्राप्त हुआ है, जिसकी अधिक जांच की जा रही है और इन्हीं तथ्यों के आधार पे आगे की कार्रवाई की जा रही है।
सुसाइड नोट में क्या लिखा है सर? सुसाइड नोट में क्या लिखा हुआ है?
देखिए, जितना अभी तक जांच हुआ है उसमें किसी भी ऐप का स्पेसिफिक नाम नहीं है। एक जो बताया उसमें लिखा गया है, उसमें इतना क्लियर हो रहा है कि ये जो तीनों लड़कियां थी ये कोरियन कल्चर से इन्फ्लुएंस थी और उसी के बारे में ये सारा नोट लिखा हुआ था उन्होंने, और उसी के चलते उन्होंने ये सुसाइड किया हुआ है।
50 दिन 50 टास्क की कुछ तस्वीरें आ रही हैं, उसमें अलग अलग टास्क लिखे हुए हैं कि पहले दिन ये करना है। क्या वो भी आपकी इन्वेस्टिगेशन का हिस्सा है?
नहीं, अभी तक ये हमारी इन्वेस्टिगेशन में नहीं आया है और अगर आगे आता है तो इसके बारे में आपको क्लियर किया जाएगा।
फैमिली कह रही थी सर कि गेम खेल रहे थे, टास्क था और कल फाइनल टास्क था।
ऐसे कोई तथ्य अभी सामने नहीं आए हैं और अभी जितनी बात हुई है तो उनको भी ये सारी चीज़ें लोगों से बात करके ही पता चला है और इस कोई टास्क के बारे में अभी कोई भी कंक्लूसिव नहीं है।
There was high drama on the Parliament premises today as a spat erupted between Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi and Union Minister Ravneet Singh Bittu. During a protest being staged by the opposition, Rahul Gandhi referred to Bittu, a former Congress leader, as a traitor friend. In response, Bittu called Gandhi a Desh ka Dushman or enemy of the nation. Bittu, a 3-time MP and Union Minister of State for Railways, has switched to the BJP ahead of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. The war of words took place when Rahul Gandhi said, "Here's a traitor walking right by, look at the face." He then offered to shake hands with Bittu, saying, "Hello, brother, my traitor friend. Don't worry, you will come back to the Congress." The minister refused to shake hands with the Congress leader and retorted by calling him Desh ka Dushman. Earlier, Bittu had taken a jibe at the protesting MPs, saying they were sitting as if they had won a war. Later, the minister told reporters, "A Sardar will never shake hands with the sign of the Gandhi family, the murderer of Sikhs," referring to Operation Blue Star and the anti-Sikh riots of 1984. Since the verbal duel, there have been protests by Sikh groups outside Rahul Gandhi's residence in Delhi as well as in some parts of Punjab. The Congress MPs, meanwhile, have been protesting the suspension of 8 opposition members from the Lok Sabha. The 8 MPs were suspended for the rest of the budget session for violating House rules and throwing papers at the chair.
मैं पार्लियामेंट अपनी गाड़ी से उतर के अंदर जा रहा था, तो जब अंदर जा रहा था तो यही चीजें इन्होंने अंदर की, हाउस के अंदर, तो स्पीकर साहब ने बाहर किया। अब मैं ये सोच रहा हूं, जहां सलाह मशवरा कर रहा हूं भी इसके आगे कैसे क्या करना चाहिए, क्योंकि अंदर यही करके बाहर निकले और बाहर भी यही सड़क के गुंडे की तरह ये बिहेव करने लग गए और खास तौर पे पगड़ी को, सिख को हमेशा ही जैसे ये टारगेट करते रहे हैं गांधी फैमिली, उसी तरीके से आज वो शब्द जो आपने, मैं तो कह नहीं सकता, जो शब्द आपने चैनल में आपने वीडियो में कैद किया है, और वो शब्द यार बाकी एमपी थे, किसी ने कुछ नहीं कहा। सारे एमपी बैठे थे जो निकाले बार, और सारे कुलीग हैं, हम रोज मिलते हैं, किसी ने कोई शब्द नहीं। और सीधा राहुल गांधी जो एलओपी हो, लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन हो और इतनी सीनियर हो, तो उस परिवार से आते हो, पर वो पता नहीं आज उनको क्या हुआ था, इतने क्या पर्सनल गुस्सा लेके मन में बैठे हैं। तो उन्होंने ये शब्द कह के और फिर कहा आप मेरे पास ही आओगे दोबारा।
हाँ, उन्होंने कहा कि आप वापस
उनके पास आओ, और हाथ आगे किया। अब उनको ये लग रहा था भी मैं अगर किसी के आगे हाथ करूंगा, बढ़ाऊंगा मलाने के लिए, तो किसी की क्या हिम्मत। गांधी फैमिली का मैं भाई परिवार का बेटा हूं, तो मैंने कहा भाई मेरी बात आप छोड़िए, आप क्या हैं? आप सबसे बड़े देश के गद्दार हैं और सिखों के कातिल हैं, और हजारों सिखों को आपने इस देश में, आपके गुंडों ने जैसे आप बिहेव कर रहे हैं, हर जगह उनको टायर डाल डाल के मारा है। वीडियो में आ रही है, जहां सुनी जा रही है, तो वो क्या है, यही जब मैं पार्टी में था वो समझते हैं भी सबसे बड़े देशभक्त हम ही हैं। मेरे पिताजी ने शहादत दी, तो मेरी पार्टी में यही लड़ाई थी भी मेरे दादाजी सरदार बेअंत सिंह, जो आपने आग लगाई थी पंजाब में, ये कांग्रेस पार्टी और गांधी फैमिली ने आग लगाई, हमारे सबसे बड़े गुरुद्वारा, पवित्र गुरुद्वारा गुरु ग्रंथ साहब जी के वहां पे अंगों में गोली लगी, दरबार साहब गोल्डन टेम्पल में, और ढह ढेरी कर दी, और हजारों सिखों को, पंजाबियों को इन्होंने निशाना बना बना के उनका कत्ल करवाया, हमारी बहनों माओं के साथ मर्डर करवाया। मैं वही कह रहा हूं, मर्डर करवाया। तो ये, और मेरे दादाजी थे, इनको यही तकलीफ थी भी अगर राजीव गांधी जी का नाम शहीद लेना पड़ता है तो साथ में शहीद आजम सरदार बेअंत सिंह भी कहना पड़ता है। मैं भी उस परिवार से आता हूं, ये तकलीफ है। अगर एक शहीद का पोता, जितनी देर मैं आपके साथ था तो ठीक था, अब अगर मैं बीजेपी में हूं तो आप मुझे इस शब्दों से संबोधन कर रहे हैं।
वेदना पीड़ा,
और उसके बाद देखो ये अपने आप को समझते क्या है, ये चीज कह के मुझे हाथ आगे कर रहे हैं जैसे कोई शहंशाह हो, जैसे कोई, मतलब वो समझते मालिक ही हम हैं इस दुनिया देश के। तो भाई गांधी फैमिली के ना हो पर सिर पे पगड़ी है सरदार की, तो हाथ मिलाने जब बढ़ाया तो मैंने कहा आप लोग तो देश के गद्दार हो, देश के दुश्मनों, जो रोज फौज के अगेंस्ट बात करते हो, देश के अगेंस्ट बात करते हो। ये हाथ सरदार का, पंजाबी का हाथ, गांधी परिवार जो सिखों का कातिल है, हमारे गुरुद्वारे में ढाए हुए, उस गांधी परिवार के वारिस के साथ मेरा हाथ नहीं मिलेगा।
The son of the late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi was assassinated in a late-night attack in Zintan. Gunmen stormed the residence of Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, disabled security cameras and shot him in the garden before fleeing. The killing, confirmed by close aides, has sent tremors through Libya's fragile political landscape. Once seen as the heir apparent to his father's 4-decade rule, Saif al-Islam went from a Western-educated reformer to the face of a brutal crackdown during the 2011 uprising in Libya. Captured while fleeing in disguise, sentenced to death for war crimes and later released under amnesty, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi spent years in hiding amid constant threats to his life. In a dramatic political comeback, he resurfaced in 2021 to run for president, tapping nostalgia for pre-war stability. But his bid derailed Libya's stalled elections and deepened divisions. His assassination has reopened old wounds, raising fears of renewed instability in a country still struggling to escape the chaos unleashed after his father Muammar Gaddafi's fall. That's all the time we have on this edition of Headlines at 8. Thanks for watching. To join us again at the same time tomorrow.